Smells inside or outside the building. Well, the lady, if I tell you a story about the lady in a third floor flat, I felt sorry for this lady because she was complaining for weeks and months in actual fact, and she couldn't get the maintenance people to help her and do anything. They tried, but not hard enough. But she was, really in stress and bother, and she rung me, and she got on with me, and she said, look, I'll pay you, but look, I just cannot live with this ongoing. I don't think I should. Can you help me? Well, cut long story short, we found a cesspit type situation at the front of her property. There's a block of flats, there's about 8 flats in there, I think. And we found like a pump extension at the front, which was like a cesspit, and it was really horrible. How someone else didn't get the smells, I do not know. But what I do know, because we spent enough time trying to solve this anyway, well, it wasn't too long. And how the third flat up, the third floor up, I should say, how she got the smells and no one else, again, I do not know. Another one I had was a house in the country, and in their garage they had a cesspit, and in this cesspit someone had put aeration in there. Now you can put aeration in there, but you've got to put it in the second chamber, and you've got to have vent systems. But they had none of that, and of course it was stinking them out, and they knew no different. So because they had a survey, they understood everything about it, and we contacted the owner, explained that this wasn't acceptable, and their smells stopped. They had a quality of life. Too many blocked drains. You may have them ongoing, you might have an ongoing problem, and it's normally interceptor outside the last chamber before it goes to the main public sewer. Pipe out of alignment even. I mean, just a pipe out of alignment, just one, can cause you these smells and all these blocked drains and whatever. So if you have it surveyed, then this will highlight this, and then we can put that little problem out. It's often less than £500, and your life gets better. Because it's awful. In fact, when the neighbours come, when your friends come to visit you, they don't remember the nice things you did. They remember the smell. So have it surveyed. All of the chaps are fully committed. Nothing is a bother to them. So detailed. They make it so simple to follow. They even will do a video as an oversee. What surveys do we require? What surveys do you require? Here is, to name a few stories, why we should have a survey done in the first place. Thinking of enlarging the property, builders nearly finished the building. Let me tell you a story about that one. I went to this large complex. It was luxurious flats. There were, not flats, apartments. There were luxurious apartments, and they were very, very luxurious. I mean, I don't want to overestimate them, overemphasize them, but they were really, really expensive. I don't know what the price would be, but it was enormous. And there was about, 2 flats on each floor, and the building was massive. Now, I went for a simple block drain there, and eventually I realised that it wasn't in their flat, and I went downstairs, because the downstairs flat was having noises and whatever. So I went right down to the bottom, and I put a camera under this large property, and only to find the drain, and I don't know if it was their drain, had subsided, and water was ponding in there. How are they going to put that right now? I then put it down another drain, which is about 3 meters to the right, and I put it down there, and that was had subsided. Now, I phoned the architect. I got his number, or and I phoned him, and I said, "Look, we've got a huge problem here. There's several drains under this huge property, and they're all subsided. They've got to come up, because there's no way you can put that right in terms of you can't lift them under the building. You have to dig them up, so you have to go inside the building and start digging." Now, if they had a simple survey when the builders had done the main building, before they start doing interior work, if they had it surveyed then, this would have saved what these people were about to go through. They would have saved all the expense. And sometimes it goes, that one, was a major catastrophe right then, but I go sometimes some commercial buildings and big buildings and houses a year later, only to find bags in the drain. In fact, some of them, you lift the lid of the big manhole, and you can see inside all the ballast and cement that was left there from a year ago or 2 years ago. So if you're finishing a building off, have it surveyed and save all this later on. domestic, commercial, industrial pre-purchase pre-purchase surveys. That's what we do. From a small home, a mansion or a business park, large factory, housing estate, I don't think you can just send a drainage man. You know, I can remember in my younger days when they sent me to a large complex. I went into the basement and I looked around and I thought, where do you start? You know, I was unsupported. I mean, it was unfair what they did to me. But you know, I got over it. But it's my clients, it's my customers, it's the customers that are suffering. If you're not up for the job, if you haven't got support, if you've not been trained, and some drainage companies and some drainage people do go there with this lack, and they just scratch their heads, you know, what am I going to do? And they try things. That's not the way to go. Have a proper drainage company. ASL is a proper drainage company. Finding buried inspection chambers, pipe tracing, we do all of that. We provide detailed plans of drains, a rough sketch or a professional drawn plans, an overview, as I said in the beginning, of a video so you can understand. Surveys for new pumping stations and pumping mains. Now, this is maybe if you've got a private system and you want to go to a pumping station, or your house is lower than the main sewer. Well, you can have a survey. We carry out levels to see if you can, you know, we look through the thing, we do that, as you can see here, and we see if you can do it by free fall. If you can't, then what we do then is we measure the distance to see what kind of pumping station you need. We contact the main public sewer authorities and the highways, the rest of it, and we do all that for you. So have a survey. Some buildings have private systems, for example, treatment plants, septic tanks, cesspits, and if you don't know what you've got, that can be a problem. I know people who've been sued later on because they were doing things that they thought were doing right, and eventually found that the neighbour is suing them because there's stuff going into their land. We have a man, and that happens to be me. I'm the man. I do the septic tanks, the treatment plants. We determine if it's the right or wrong system for you or for your surroundings, for the property or the location, and tell you the costs and works methods when needed. And we also tell you, or I tell you, with a bit of history, potential lifespan. I've probably been there before. In other words, if you're living in a house now, I've probably surveyed it. Surveys connecting you to main public sewer. Well, we covered that a little bit in pumping stations. We take site levels, as I've said, and we do plans. And we read the same. Engineer talking to engineer, because the authorities are not very tolerant, and nor should they be, because people ask daft questions. So when you employ us to do the survey to get you connect to the main sewer, we get the plans, which we pay for, and indirectly, well, you pay for them and we get them and we bill you later. And then once we've read the plans, we talk to the engineer to see where and how we can connect you to the main public sewer. It's not as big a deal. It's a small token charge. We don't really want any money, even for looking at the plans and even for talking to the engineer. And then once we've got that information, we then go to the next survey, which is to get you connected with rats. Now, rats getting in the drain, rats running around the bird cage. Do the red pepper test. You know those red peppers? They are, you know, they're really red hot in the curries and the different things. Well, get one of those red peppers and scrunch it up in your fingers and walk around all morning, if you like, and wash it off first, because it's too strong if you don't wash it off and it gets in your eyes. And that's the idea, is to see if you touch your eyes, because with Wells disease and lots of other diseases, they get into your teardrops or an open cut. So if you have this red pepper over your fingers and you walk and you wash it off so it's not too strong, and then you walk around the rest of that morning or that day, if you touch your eyes, it'll start to sting and you'll know you're touching your eyes. Why? Because there is wee, if I may say so, on the grass, and that's how you pick it up. That's one of the ways you pick it up. If it's moist and you touch it and you touch your eyes, then that's a good way of getting Wells disease. It's not worth the risk. But what I really want to encourage you to do is to get rid of the rats. So have a survey in order to get rid of them. And let's do it together. I mean, let's get the neighbours involved. There's lots of rats around, I promise you that. I don't care where you are. And if you've got chickens, you're just attracting the ones from your neighbours. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope it was interesting. And if it was, could you press the like button? Could you give us a recommend? This is Gerry. Bye for now. Bye-bye.